The story starts with a girl named Nishino. She wakes up in the morning, takes a shower, and gets ready for school. And then, she is driven to school by a personal driver. At school, she is greeted by most of the students, but she sees one person she doesn't like, Kagenou. She greets him, and he greets her back but calls her Nishimura. She tells Kagenou that her name isn't Nishimura, and he apologizes, saying he's been tired lately and calls her Nishitani. She gets annoyed and corrects him again, telling him her real name. But Kagenou gets it wrong again and calls her Nishimura as he leaves. Nishino notes that she doesn't dislike Kagenou because he can't remember her name but because he never looks at her, and even when his eyes are facing her direction, they seem to be looking at somewhere far off place. When Nishino was in middle school, she had to take a break from her acting career due to a scandal. Ever since then, she has been hiding behind a mask. She is always trying to ensure that both her teachers and her classmates like her, so she acts a certain way around them. However, after school, something bad happens. Her driver, who usually takes her home, doesn't answer her calls as some men attack him. As he didn't come to pick her up, she had to walk home alone for the first time in a long time since the incident in middle school. On her way, she is kidnapped by the men that beat the driver and she loses consciousness. Right before she blacks out, she sees Kagenou coming towards her. Later, Nishino wakes up tied up in some warehouse. The kidnapper tells her that the daughter of the Nishino Zaibatsu shouldn't go out alone at night. The other kidnapper tells her she just needs to stay there, and once they get paid, she will be freed. Outside, Kagenou observes the kidnapper, changes clothes, and puts on a mask. The kidnapper wants to have some fun with Nishino and notes that this should be her second time being kidnapped, and the first time was by some stalker. Kagenou then comes down from the roof window, saying he is a stylish thug slayer. The kidnapper pulls out a gun, but Kagenou throws a piece of glass, injuring his arm and disarming him. He then charges the guy, throws him to the ground, and smashes his face. The other kidnapper notices that Kagenou isn't a regular person and says he was tired of doing kidnappings with amateurs. He mentions that he used to be in the military and pulls out a knife to attack Kagenou. Kagenou uses crowbars to defend himself and manages to take the knife away from the man, but still gets overpowered. He then decides to take things more seriously and demonstrates how powerful crowbars can be as he fights against the biker gangs. The man then realizes that he is the ski mask berserker, someone who has been fighting against the biker gangs using crowbars. Kagenou points out that the bikers have started wearing helmets, so he had to stop using the crowbars like tonfa and instead use them as regular clubs. And that's the potential of a crowbar. Kagenou then proceeds to break the man's leg and beat him up. Afterwards, he frees Nishino and tells her to be more cautious in the future. Nishino then contacts the police, and her father uses his connections to keep the incident from becoming public. The next day, Nishino goes to school and sees Kagenou. She greets him, and he greets her back but calls her Nishino. She is about to correct him but then realizes that he got her name right this time, and he seems to be looking at her. She starts to think that he is also living a life behind a mask, just like she is. The next morning, the news reported that local high school student Minoru Kagenou was hit by a truck and didn't survive. Kagenou doesn't remember since when, but he has always dreamed of being a hero. He spends his days training. While at school, he was just a background character. He has gotten pretty good at fighting, but when he's surrounded by armed men, he knows he doesn't stand a chance. Even if he becomes the best martial artist in the world, he may be able to beat those men too, but he still wouldn't be able to stop a missile. Kagenou wants to find a way to push past these limits and become the hero he's always dreamed of being. After being hit by a truck, Kagenou is given a second chance and reborn in a new world. Along with his team, they form an organization and ready to start an operation. Kagenou has also gained a new ability, the power of magic. He wants to be the one who operates from the shadows and shows the world their true strength, becoming known as the Eminence in Shadow. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.